Hello and welcome to our video tutorial regarding the airport editor in the new Airport Tower Simulator 2012. Goal of this tutorial is to show you how quick you can build up airports and how easy it will be to create levels or shifts to use in the Airport Tower Simulator. Our starting point is main menu, like you see it here, and to get to the airport editor, just click on the left side on the button for airport editor, and now we are in the airport editor. There are some basic functions or controls you have to know. Let us start with camera. Camera control will be established by moving the mouse and at the same time holding the right mouse key down. So pushing the right mouse key down and moving the mouse to the left or to the right turns the camera like you see it right now. And moving the camera, moving the mouse up or down pitches the camera up or down like you see it here. Every movement is established additionally with holding down the right mouse key and moving the mouse. You see that the camera is always focused and on one point with its turns or with its movement. To choose another focus point, just click somewhere into the 3D area by holding down at the same moment the left or the shift key. Holding down the shift key and clicking somewhere in the 3D area changes the focus point of your camera. Now we go back to the compass. We click on the compass by holding down shift key and left mouse button, and we have our new focus point now around the compass. And we have a zoom function. You see, if you push down the right mouse key and the shift key and move the mouse forward or backwards, it changes the zoom level or the level of zoom of the camera. So these are the basic camera functions you have to know if you use the airport editor. Now I would like to show you how to add parts to your virtual world. That's pretty easy. Just go to the part selection window on the right corner there where the mouse icon is right now. Select a runway part. I advise you, it's pretty good routine to start with runway parts. Select runway parts, and then you see the selection window, the small selection window on the left side of your screen opens up. Select the part there, and that's the first part. We start always with the runway, is the entering part of the runway, like you see here. Select it and then double click into your virtual world with the left mouse button pretty quick with a very high sequence or frequency on the point, and your part will be built there, will be placed there. Always start with this part if you build a runway. Always start with building a runway and always start with this part building a runway. So you have to have an entering part at first. Now we can move the camera around. You see how it works. We focus this part in our camera like I described before with left correction with the shift key and the left mouse button. We change the focus. Then if the part is selected, you can move it around with the mouse by holding down the left mouse key. So you can move it wherever you want to move it. And now sometimes it's very often it's needed to turn a part. It's pretty easy. There are two functions in the editor. One possibility is you use the cursor control keys. Use the cursor control keys to turn the part by 5-degree steps. I will show you how this works. If I now have the part selected and choose the right cursor control key, the part should turn. No, actually I used the left cursor control key. You see the part turns anti-clockwise to the left by 5-degree steps. If I use the right cursor control key, the part turns right or clockwise by 5-degree steps. The other way to turn the part is using number block keys in your keyboard, and if you use the number block keys, you can turn the part by 90-degree steps. It's very often needed to turn a part by 90 degrees, and if you use for example the left or the number 4 key in your number block, the part turns left by 90 degrees. If you use the number 6 in the number block, the part turns right by 90 degrees. There are situations you need to scale parts. How this works I will show you right now. At first you need to select the part. If a part is selected, you always see the axis indicators, like here. There are 3 axis indicators. You have a green axis indicator for epsilon axis, you have a red axis indicator for x axis, and you have a blue axis indicator for z axis. So to select the part, just click on the part. I did it already here. And now we have to think about on which axis we want to scale this part. At this point we want to scale this part on the blue axis, so it means on the Z axis. Yes, so always think about where you want to scale it. We want to scale it on the Z axis, on the blue axis. And now if we look on the Airport Editor panel, you see here the scaling area, and there are red, green and blue values, and we want to change the blue values, so to Z axis. And we have a plus and we have a minus. If we click on the minus, it will scale our part down, and if we click on the plus, it will scale our part up. So let us scale our part up with the plus button. So on Z axis, let me do it. You see how the part grows. We do it as long as we think we need to scale it, and then just move it a little bit and hold down Shift key to activate the click in function, and you see it fits perfectly. So that's pretty easy how to scale a part. You can do this with almost every part, so no problem. Okay, let's see how to put parts together, how to put bigger structures, or how to construct bigger structures like a runway. Please start always with the runway if you want to build an airport, because the runway is the major part of an airport, and everything other, or all the other parts and buildings are always placed regarding to the runway. So start with a runway in the Airport Editor 2. So for building a runway, we have our special parts in our Airport Editor. So let us look to the panel. Here you see the runway parts where the mouse button is right now. So open up the runway selection window. On the left side you see our selection window, and click on the part you want to start with. Always start with an entering part for a runway. So please do it always the same way we do it right now. So please use the same parts to build a runway, and in the same flow or in the same row like we do it right now, or in the same sequence. I think that's the right definition. At first always use entering part to start building a runway. This is an entering part. Then second part you need is the threshold part. Please take the threshold part. Then if you move it like this, you see it's pretty difficult to adjust it to the other part, but there's a trick. Hold the Shift key down and move your new part close to the other part, and you will see how it connects automatically. Let us see. See, you have seen that? So move your part, hold Shift key down and move your part close to the other part, and you will see how it connects to the other part automatically. So that's an internal function to make it easy align parts against each other. So, okay, that was the second part we need. And now let's go to the third part we need. Once again, please use these parts always in the same way, in the same sequence. At first entering part, then threshold part, and now the runway labeling part. Let us say it's the runway label. So place it in the same way. Hold Shift key down, move it close to the threshold part, and it will connect automatically. Okay, so that's very important. That's the beginning of the runway. If we get to the end of the runway in a few minutes, you have to do it in the other way around, in the opposite sequence. Now you see there's the labeling part, and if you look from approach side or from final approach view, you see there is a number. It's 09er. It means this is the direction of the runway into the east. 09er means this is a heading of 90 degrees. Means on compass rose it's heading 90 degrees. It's to the east. So the opposite direction would be then to the west and would be 27, but you will see in a few seconds. Okay, and next we use normal centerline parts for the runway and add as much we need, or how much we need, or how many we need. So it depends how long we want to have the runway. So make it long enough that aircrafts can take off and land. Believe me, it's no fun for any pilot if the runway is too short. So make it as long as you need it, and add all these parts in the manner you like, or you know already, the way you know already. Add as much parts you need, and then at the end you will see we have to finalize the runway with the same parts we had at the beginning. So let us add some more parts, some more regular centerline parts. Once again, it's very important that you build the enter side of the runway always the same way. Entering part, threshold part, label part. And now we need to do this on the exit side of the runway too. In the same way, but in the opposite sequence. At first, labeling part, then, but let us look at the labeling part at first. Now you see, we have to check if it's correct. If you see it this way, you see it's wrong. It shows 60. That cannot be. That would be a heading of 600. That's not existing. But it shows actually 09, but from the other side. So we have to turn this label part of the runway by 90 degrees, 2 times 90 degrees. So it's facing into the other direction. You see, use the number block keys. We use the number 4 on the number block keys on the keyboard to turn the part in the right direction. Now it looks into the right direction. This is the opposite approach view to this runway. It's heading 27, means 270 degrees, means it shows into the west. That's westwards landing direction, or takeoff direction is 27. Okay, now we need the next part is the threshold part. We add it, and finally we need the exit part. Now we take the exit part facing in the same direction like the other one, so we need the other exit part. So we take this one and turn it by using number keys, and connect it to the threshold part by holding down Shift key. So, and finally we did our runway. Our runway is finalized. Please keep in mind, always do it in the same sequence: entering part, threshold part, labeling part, then as many centerline parts you need, and then on the exit part the same way around. Okay, great. So we finalized the runway now, and now let's go further with building the rest of the airport. the rest of the airport. But there are two very important elements we need now. Every time we have a runway and we have an entering and an exit part, we need on this enter yes, on the enter side and on the exit side a part called holding point. Like on every airport we have holding points in front of a runway. A holding point looks like following. We have to open the taxi parts. It's the first segment selection. You see on the left side we have our taxi parts, and this is the holding point element. So we need this in this direction or in this alignment. So the full line is facing away from the runway and the dashed line is facing to the runway. That's the way how we place or how we connect holding points. And once again, on every entering and on every exit position we need to have these holding points. If you don't use these holding points on the runway, the simulator will not work in the right way, and it will not work like you want it. So we always need holding points where taxiways end. So let's use some other elements like standard taxiways and curves. So, and build the ways like we wanted to have. Now we are pretty flexible. We can several elements we have to choose from, no problem. Build your taxiways, and please keep in mind that every taxiway has only two ways how it can end. One way is ending at a holding point, and on the other end mostly you have parking positions. I will show you later what I mean. We place the parking positions on the apron. Right now we build basic ways to get to the apron. Now I think it's time to start the apron. We need other parts. We need an apron entering part. It's this one. Turn it around. You see where the yellow lines and dots are. This is where they have to be connected. So take your time to build your airport wisely and thoughtful. Try to keep distances short and try to place and align your taxiways in the way that it makes sense, like on a real airport. So we have a lot of elements to choose from. The one I use right now, just an example, but this is a nice one to split and taxiways. It's this element, and from this on we go to our holding point. Excuse me, go to our parking position. As I told you before, a taxiway should have only two ends. One end on holding point on the runway, and the other end should be parking position. Never let a taxiway run into nothing, or let the taxiway end somewhere. That's not correct, and the simulator will not work the way it should, because the pathfinding routines need to have ends of taxiways. Correct ends of taxiways means holding points or parking positions. This actually is an holding point I placed right now. This element is the holding point element. Correction, it's the parking point. This is the parking point element, parking position element, and where we place our aircrafts then at the end, and where the aircrafts go to park after they landed. So Let's go further with building the apron. It's going to be a small apron because we don't want to build a big airport here. It's only an airport for small aircrafts, for single and twin engine aircrafts I built right now here. It's only for demonstration purposes to show you how it basically works to create an airport. I hope you see how easy it is, and just do it by yourself, and I think you will have fun like we have here during development, or we had during development. In future we will build some add-ons, add-on kits, and more elements you can add to the airport. Stay tuned, stay connected to our website www.towersim.de, and we will keep you updated on all the news and add-ons we produce in future, because the tower simulator has a lot of potential, and I hope you see it too. It's only limited to your imagination how you build your airports and how big you build your airports. And actually you can export your airports in one single export file, and you can exchange it with your friends, and if they have a tower simulator, then export your scenes, your shifts you created, your airports you created, and give it to them to play with it and to let them work as a controller on your designed airports. Okay, now we finalized our apron, and actually on the apron we have two parking positions for two aircraft, and now we go further with the taxiway to connect it with the exit element of the runway, or with the other leg of the taxiway we created already. Use only standard elements to go straight ahead. But keep in mind, don't let taxiways end somewhere, and always connect taxiways. Don't let it open in some way. The simulator will not work if you have a loose end of a taxiway. Everything has to be connected to have the tower simulator proper working. So now we are close to finalizing our taxiways. Okie dokie, that was the last one. Now we finalize basically our airport, but there are some important things we still need. But look at that, here's our apron, our taxiways, runway, everything is there we need to have a working airport. But what do we need to? A tower, correct. So click on the tower selector and place the tower in the way you know already. Double click on, you have your tower there where you want it to have. Now you can move your tower wherever you want it, but it makes sense to place it at a position where you can overview the whole airport to have the best view to all sides. And now, if you have placed the airport, go into the tower with this view selector here. You see where the mouse is? Click on this symbol. These are three view selectors: top view, free flight view, free camera, and the tower view. Click on it and you will be automatically in the tower, and you can check your actual view out of the tower. And if this is fine, then you can be happy. You have everything you need to start your shift as a controller. Actually, we need a little bit more. That's not going to be that boring. So we need some aircraft. So let us place some aircrafts here on the apron. on the parking positions, go to the aircraft selector, choose a single engine aircraft, a Cessna 172, and an twin engine aircraft. It's actually a King Air. But first, our Cessna 172 we place here, turn it with number block keys by 90 degrees, and place it like this. And then we choose the King Air, double click, turn it, place it, and you know what? Now we finalized our airport completely. That's our airport we're going to use in the shift. We're going to create immediately and check it out from every view side, from every angle. Isn't it nice? And it took not that long, and it's ready. So now we need to create a shift. But before we can create the shift, we have to save the airport. We have to give it a name and save it. So it's very important that you save the airport before you start defining a shift. Okay, now it's saved. So, but before we define a shift, let us think about what we did, or what we have done in the last minutes. So we created a complete airport. Please keep in mind again, if you start to create an airport, begin with the runway. If you begin a runway, use the 3 same parts all the time. You build a runway at first. So start with an entering part, then use the threshold part, and then the labeling part. Then continue with all the centerline parts depending on the length of your runway. And finally, at the end of the runway, use the 3 main parts again in the other sequence. At first labeling part, then threshold part, and after the threshold part, the exit part. Then we have to add holding points to the enter side and to the exit side. And from holding points on, we start creating our taxiways to our apron. We build an apron on, and on the apron we have to place our parking positions so that every taxiway can end in a parking position or end in an holding point. Very important. Now, before we define a shift, or for shift defining actually, it's nice to take a screenshot. We need a screenshot, but before we do that, we pimp up our environment a little bit. So let us open the shift editor by pushing the level button, and then you have here the weather section for the environment. And we add a little bit fog, makes it more real, you see, and then you can adjust the fog dance by moving this slider. Yeah, that's fine. So let it this way, and then we could add some rain, but we don't want rain now. So let us create some clouds actually. Go to this section, activate the clouds, adjust the dance of the clouds. Altitude of 5 is fine. Let it be like this. And then refresh the weather with this button, and voila, there are our clouds. It looks more real, doesn't it? So now we have a nice scenario. We search for a nice point to take our screenshot for the preview image for our shift selection. Okay, I think that's not too bad. Use this one. And before we take the screenshot, we move the panels away. So actually we close the shift editor with this button, and we move the airport editor to the lower side, or to the bottom of the screen, so it's not that important anymore for taking screen. Then push, if you have the right position, let me adjust it a little bit, so take this one. Then push the print button on your keyboard. It's close to the delete button on the right upper side of your keyboard. Push the print button and you see a screenshot saved message. And now we put the airport editor up again and we open the shift editor and click on this icon here, and a file dialog opens with all the screenshots we did, and there we choose our last screenshot. It's this one. Let it choose us. Let us choose it, and okay, there it is. There's our preview image made out of our screenshot. Then we have to give our shift a name before we save it. So enter a name for the shift, and then we have to add a shift description, just a short one for this example. So, and then we have to save the shift. Oh no, before we save it, we have to adjust our traffic, our dynamic traffic. We deselect the bigger airplanes because our runway is too short. We only have selected now the single engine and the twin engines, so that's fine. So they will be created during gameplay, during runtime. And let us save the shift now. Okie dokie. And overwrite an existing shift, okay. And shift is saved. So we finalized our airport and shift construction, and actually we are ready to test it. So let us go to the main menu by clicking on the closing button on the airport editor and see how the shift works in reality. Okie dokie. Go to the shift selection out of the main menu, and there's our shift, test shift. There's our preview image, there's our description, and no hints anymore to start our shift. Have fun. That's all you need to do to create your own shift and to work as a flight controller in Airport Tower Simulator 2012. Have fun.